This Tuesday, the AP voters released their preseason picks for the All-American First Team. Juju Watkins and Paige were the two unanimous picks, followed by Hidalgo, Madison Booker, and Kiki Iriafen. I definitely approve of this list, as all the players have a strong argument for being a top 5 player. Paige Beckers is a no-brainer. We're talking about someone who is the consensus #1 pick in next year's draft. It's as simple as if she's healthy, she will be a first-team All-American. Paige next year is going to look like those mixtape videos of professional players schooling regular people. Because to be honest, she's a WNBA player disguised as a college athlete. I fully understand Paige staying another year in college because I would have done the same thing without second thought. But it's unfortunate that she won't even be challenged outside of a few tough non-conference games and eventually the tournament. Paige Beckers can legitimately average whatever stat line she wants to next year. The next obvious pick is Juju Watkins. It only took the first game to show how dominant she was. She embarrassed an elite Ohio State defense and didn't look back. The fact Juju took a USC team that has been irrelevant for 2 decades and turned them back into a powerhouse is all you need to know. Yes, it's true Juju Watkins won't be taking as many shots this year, but that's not going to stop her from getting awards. If anything, it means she'll get more. Her assists are guaranteed to go up, her turnovers will be down, and most importantly, her field goal percentages will look a lot better. Even with Juju having a significantly more offensive help this year, I could see her scoring stay around the same or even go up. The reason for that is because the defense of the Big Ten is significantly weaker than she was facing in the Pac-12. There are still some people that doubt Juju. All I have to say about that is they are going to have a rough season. Next up is Hidalgo. She was a first-team All-American last year, so it makes perfect sense for her to be here again. I think the narrative that Hidalgo will fall off because Olivia Miles is back is ridiculous. 2-point guards being on the court at the same time is extremely common, but the way people talk about Notre Dame, you would swear it has never been done before. Just like Juju, Hidalgo is going to take less shots, but she's also going to have a higher field goal percentage and less turnovers because teams can't key in on her as much. She can also afford to be even more intense on defense because she doesn't have to spend so much energy running the offense. With Ashlyn being out, I think she's the clear favorite for National Defensive Player of the Year. It's only going to take a few games for the Olivia Miles and Hidalgo can't work together narrative to die down. Because respectfully, it's not based off any facts. Notre Dame literally won a national championship with Ogunbowale, Mabry, and Jackie Young being on the same team. You couldn't ask for a more ball-dominant duo than Luka and Kyrie, and they went to the NBA Finals. When you have 2 gifted guards working together, they are going to find a way. I'd say those first 3 are locks for All-Americans. But after that, it gets tricky. They went with Madison Booker. She was second-team All-American last year, co-Big 12 Player of the Year, and Big 12 Tournament MVP. Considering how deep the SEC is, I think whoever wins SEC Player of the Year is pretty much guaranteed to be a first-team All-American. The SEC is loaded with talented players, so Madison winning SEC Player of the Year and being a first-team player is not going to be easy. In theory, Rory Harmon should only make her better. Her assists probably are going to go down because she isn't playing the point guard position, but she'll be able to focus more on scoring and defending. The only reason I have doubts about this is because of Layla Felia. The idea of a senior who's trying to get drafted, who is also a high-volume shooter joining a team like Texas, makes me very nervous. One or two things will happen. She will either take the pressure off of Madison Booker and make it easier to score, or she's going to try too hard to outdo Madison Booker and take a bunch of ill-advised shots that will hurt Maddie in the process. I'm hoping it's the former. The one that surprised me was Kiki Iriafen, not because she isn't good enough, but because 2 first-team All-Americans being on the same team is extremely rare. The last time it happened was in the 2019 and 2020 season, which is ironic because that's the one year they shouldn't have done that. I'll be happy if she makes first team, but also be very annoyed because that just shows how stupid it was to leave her off last year. She was only left off because she played alongside Cameron Brink. I would still be surprised if they put her on first team over the second, but this shows they're at least open to it. But I think there's a player who ends up taking a spot from one of the preseason All-Americans, and her name is Lauren Betts, who just so happens to come in 6th place on the preseason voting. Lauren Betts was still trying to ingratiate herself with the team last year. She had multiple 20 and 10 games, But there was also games where she was barely a part of the offense. Corey Close will recognize, if she hasn't already, for UCLA to become the team they are hyped up to be, they have to run the offense through Lauren Betts. She's going to look like a grown woman playing kids in the Big Ten. The quality in post play in the Pac-12 last year is significantly better than what she will be seeing in the Big Ten this year. You combine that with the fact she's one of the best rim protectors in the country, I think she makes it. But now I'll get to the other honorable mentions. I'm just going to be straight up. I have huge problems with the honorable mention list. I do not understand the Georgia Amoore agenda. She's a great player, don't get me wrong. But the media consistently ranks her over players she clearly is not better than. Georgia is arguably not even a top 5 player in the SEC, so getting this many votes for All-American First Team is wild. She's a very good player, and I hope Kentucky does well. But there are several top guards that perform at a higher level than she does. 3 players on South Carolina received 1 vote: Malaysia Fulwiley, Tahina Paopao, and Raven Johnson. Right now, we have no idea who the single best player in South Carolina is. You could make an argument for a lot of people. I would have bet on their best player being Ashlyn Watkins, but who knows if she'll play this season. I understand why South Carolina fans are annoyed, but there isn't a clear number 1 option on the team right now, which is why no one got a bunch of votes. When it's all said and done, I expect at least 2 players from South Carolina to be All-Americans. But I'm curious what are y'all's thoughts on this are. Should this have been the first All-American preseason list? If you think someone else should have been on here, who would you take out? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.